Yo, what's up? Welcome to KindaFunny Gamescast, our Dead Island 2 review. I'm one of your hosts, Blessing Adeoye Jr. Joining me is WWE superstar Greg Miller.
Wow, he went to you
Hey,
first.
Bless, how you doing? Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
I appreciate you go to me.
Honestly, I just have it bullet pointed in the doc, and so you're going to get it first no matter what. No
I
matter
thought
where
we talked
you
about
sat.
no looking at the doc.
Well, not for this show. I usually don't host this show. I
No
think it's
doc
all right for
looking.
this show.
No doc
For
looking. Just
KFG,
feel it inside, Bless.
I'm going to feel it for KFGD. For
Okay,
Gamescast, I'm looking at the doc. Isn't that right? The master of hype, Snowbike Mike.
That is correct. Of course, Greg, as you know, we've put down the gauntlet for one Blessing Adeoye Jr. throughout all of the week at KindaFunny Games Daily. He has to do the entire show intro looking dead into the camera without staring at his notes.
Now, do you think you could do that for KFGD?
For KFGD,
Yeah.
I think I can get pretty close.
We get to find out because Wednesday he's hosting.
Oh, snap.
you're the
okay, I'll
hosty
do it.
Wednesday.
Okay, there you go.
Without the
Wednesday,
doc.
Wednesday without the doc, I will do it just like you.
I can't wait to see
Why are you
intro.
throwing the gauntlet down? Like, why does a gauntlet have to be thrown?
We want to make each other better, all right?
Yeah, exactly.
We're not like the
Andy.
people over on the Kinda Funny streaming side, or maybe just the Kinda Funny thing where they talk about goddamn bats all day long, all right? We
Good
want to
show.
make our content better.
Really good show.
I did watch it today. It was really good.
It was really good
I like the
today.
part where you talked about bats. How you doing? The globe-trotting, head-shotting, cooking heads and ripping them to shreds, the Texas Street Latino Heat, the rootin' tootin', three-point shooting, twitch.tv/Andy Cortez.
I'm doing really, really great, Blessing. I'm ready to talk video games with you all. And I'm ready to ask these guys about zombies.
Who do you, voodoo bitch?
Where's that from?
What do you like to know?
It's from Dead Island.
Wow.
That's the first Dead
You don't know
Island.
that iconic song?
This kid's on. That's why he's not on the review. He's here to ask questions. All right. He's like so many other people. You know what I mean? Who maybe don't remember 2011's Dead
exactly.
Island.
You don't remember?
They don't
The
remember the
cult
game
classic?
from 12 years ago. That's finally getting a sequel. When we're
With
talking
Sam
about.
B. Who do you voodoo?
It's a great song.
Is that from the game?
Yeah, there was a song on a Who Do You Voodoo Bitch by
Who
Sam
could
B.
forget?
It's the opening of the game, dude. It's insane.
Wait, is it really from the opening of the game?
Yeah.
I did play like the first hour of that game. I could not tell you about anything about Voodoo.
The original Dead Island.
The original Dead
Right.
Island.
Yeah, it opens
But also,
up.
it was very unremarkable to me. And so I'm
Okay.
very excited to talk about Dead Island 2.
Very
To hear if it's just as
unremarkable.
unremarkable or if it's more remarkable. Because remember, this is the KindaFunny Gamescast, where each and every week we get together to talk about the hottest topics in video games. You can get the show ad-free, watch it live as we record, and get a whole bevy of bonus content over on patreon.com/KindaFunny, just like our Patreon producers did, Delaney Twining and Tripod Plus Plus. Shout out to them. Or you can watch it on youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames and roosterteeth.com. Or you can listen on your favorite podcast service. Just search for KindaFunny Gamescast. Remember, you can use Epic Creator Code KindaFunny on all Epic Store and Epic in-game purchases like Rocket League and Fortnite to help support the channel. Housekeeping for you. Barrett's next video essay is just around the corner. Join him on Wednesday, April 19th at 2 p.m. Pacific time after the game stream while he talks about why Jedi Fallen Order is his favorite Star Wars game on youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames. And then over on Patreon for this week's Remember Blank, we're talking all about remember that game you can't believe came out in honor of Dead Island 2. Write in right now on KindaFunny.com/RememberBlank to get your memories read on the show. Today we're brought to you by Rocket Money, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin with what is, and forever will be, topic of the show.
Tots, 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 tots. I like it. Bring a little PS I Love You
I like
flavor.
that,
in
yeah,
there.
Of course,
little
you know, you
touch,
gotta add
little
some
touch.
flavor to it. Today is our Dead Island 2 review. Greg, you are a lead reviewer.
Yeah.
Mike, you've played the game.
I am more than halfway through the game.
Andy, you've not touched the game.
Don't plan on it.
And that's the same thing for me, right? Where I have touched the game a little bit, but I've been waiting on the final verdict before seeing if I want to touch more of the game. Greg, as our lead reviewer, should I touch Dead Island 2?
How much of it did you play? Or how much have you already touched?
I touched 30 minutes.
Okay. And it left you completely underwhelmed?
Yeah. I played 30 minutes and I was kind of like, all right, this doesn't seem remarkable.
This is a
Let me
video
wait. This is a video game. I wasn't like, oh, this seems bad or anything.
Yeah.
It was like this isn't blowing me away currently. I'm going to put it down and wait and see for reviews.
I think then you probably shouldn't come back to it. Dead Island 2 is for me a 3 out of 5 on the Kinda Funny scale. It is an okay video game, which of course I find you can have a lot of fun with, as you know, from, of course, Sonic Frontiers, right?
Yep.
That was one of your things. And early on when I was playing it, I was like, this strikes me as it's going to be a Sonic Frontiers for me, which, of course, you infamously said it's a 3 out of 5. I'm scoring it a 3 out of 5, but it's a 5 out of 5 to me in terms of enjoyment, in terms of the world, yada, yada, yada. Dead Island 2 doesn't get there. What Dead Island 2 does is bring Dead Island and Dead Island Riptide into 2023. It brings it all in, I think, while dropping the main complaints I found in 2011 and 2013 with the game, which were performance issues, it not loading quickly, it crashing a lot, being buggy. I played on PlayStation 5. I had 0 crashes. I found the loads to be very quick, very good. I think the game itself is pretty in terms of, like, you see this LA cityscape right here as we go through and brawl in the hills with some people, right? However, it's just an okay game. And it's that, if you want to borrow, of course, from our friends before, right, of he's swimming in 7s, a 3 out of 5 out of 5 out of 5. Like, there's nothing wrong with being an okay game. I thoroughly enjoy Dead Island 2. And it's funny, I went back and watched my Dead Island review in 2011 from IGN.com. I went back and watched my Dead Island Riptide review from 2013 on IGN.com. And both of those video reviews sound very similar to everything I'll say today. In terms of, like, look, this isn't a fantastic game. In 2011, I did give it a 8.0, which was great. Then Riptide was a 7.2, and you can see it continuing as video games have caught up, changed, evolved, and done a bunch of stuff. But
as we are less impressed by
open world zombies, right? Like, you hear me in Dead Island 2011 be like, yo, it's Fallout. It's an open world Fallout with zombies. That's cool, right? And it was. Now we have Dying Light. There's a million other things doing it, let alone zombie fatigue. Open world changes, yada, yada. We'll get to all that. For Dead Island 2, though, it is just like my commentary on it is so much like Dead Island and Dead Island Riptide, where it's like, listen, Dead Island 2, I find to be fun. I like to run around zombie RPG worlds. I like to get more powerful. I like to scavenge materials and then make my weapons better and see the numbers go up and be able to kill things quicker. However, it is the same commentary as before, where, listen, this is just empty calories. I think it is a fun video. It is a flat fun. It is a flat 3 out of 5. It is an okay video game that I enjoyed my time with, and I will continue to play right now until the next big thing, right? Until the next game comes around. It fills that gap. And that works for me right now as a reviewer, I think, as somebody who, plays all these different games and is ready to move on to the next thing. And, of course we have Star Wars. Of course we have Zelda. There's so much happening around us right now. I wonder what that means in 2013 to the audience, though, in terms of, like, this is a fun game, I think, to go through and do stuff. Is it as good as Dying Light 2? No. Dying Light 2 is a better game, as a complete package. Personally, in terms of worlds I like the more, hey, the zombie outbreak just happened here. We are in a zombie movie, whereas Dying Light 2 is you're in Mad Max. We've been living with this, we've changed and done stuff. But, the whole parkouring of Dying Light 2, I think the twists and turns of the story up until the ending that we all hated, bless. There's more going on there to sink your teeth into, whereas Dead Island 2 is an enjoyable experience. It is the 30 minutes you played, you are going to play. For me, it's 20 hours till I rolled credits on the story, and I did side stuff here and there, and I'm still going back and doing it. But it's going to be that, exponentially. I do think it does interesting things in terms of, instead of going through and leveling up and choosing your skills like you did in Dead Island 1 and Dead Island Riptide, they've replaced it now with a card system. So as you level up, you pop a new card that you can then play on your deck or whatever, which then changes your stuff. And, as you do that or find them in the world, you can change it. And so by the end, I was getting things that I was putting into my build that was making I do stomp heads when they're on the ground a lot. So being able to stomp ahead and either, send off an explosion or get a bit of health back, that is good for me. That is helpful for me. I am burning people a lot and using electricity on people a lot. So the fact that if I do that and they die with it, they explode and take out the zombies around them, that's a good buff for me. However, it still is just running around melee weapons for the most part. There are guns in the game, but it's not a first-person shooter. I wouldn't go that way. There's a lot more to talk about, but I am just hogging the thing. Yeah. I think it's a 3 out of 10. It is a 3 out of 10. I enjoy. If you liked Dead Island, if you like Dead Island Riptide, there's no reason not to like this, but it's not like it's reinventing the wheel or really turning your head.
One more thing I want to piggyback on.
To be clear, a 3 out of 5 just before.
Did I say 3 out of 10 again?
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
3 out of 5.
I going back and watching the IGN reviews and putting my IGN scores in my head have thrown it off today as I've talked to other people about it.
Before we get to Mike,
3 out of 5.
One thing I want to piggyback on based on what you just said, I've been looking forward to this game for the idea of, man, I hope this can be what Dying Light 2 was for me last year.
Yeah.
Where I went into Dying Light 2, I had low expectations, ended up enjoying that game a lot because it fulfilled this, oh man, okay, I'm getting a lot of quests, I'm enjoying this parkour, going through this world, fighting the zombies, doing the puzzles, obstacles, whatever they throw at me. I really just enjoyed the moment to moment of that game. Watching the reveal trailer or the re-reveal trailer for Dead Island 2, it seemed like it had this fun energy to it that I thought could be a secret sauce for Dead Island 2. Would you say that this game has any secret sauce that separates it from Dying Light 2 for people who might have played that game and want to hop into another game that's like it?
Well, specifically jumping off your point, I think that's a big missed opportunity for it. Of course, you're in LA, Hell A, as they call it over and over again. It opens with, you, and of course, you can pick between 4 survivors to play as. Of course, this is co-op. You can get in with other people, yada, yada, yada.
Six survivors.
Oh shit! Really?
6 slayers.
I picked Amy and never looked back.
He got the first person. That's right. Yeah.
I went through them all.
They're all like class based, I'm assuming?
Yeah, they have different. You have innate cards. Every person starts with 2 cards, so you have built-in abilities. And I liked Amy's the most. That's why I started there. Thanks for the correction, Mike. But yeah, outside of their personalities, I think you get in that opening cutscene of the plane. I don't think they double down enough on that. Where LA should be, it is this really colorful places you've seen there, right? And I feel like they could have done a lot more with that, and they don't. So instead, it is like you see. I think they're working with well-known stereotypes for the LA actress, the assistant, right? The bunker guy who's going to sit down here and has missed the whole thing, but has kind of been looking forward to it. A number of other ones in there, muscle-bound dudes. They don't play it up, right? They don't do that to really make you go, oh, ha, 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 this is a fun satire of it, nor do they give you anything interesting with it. I think the story is the most forgettable thing about it, where it's just like, Barrett the other day was talking to me about a game he was playing, and he's like, yeah, I've been looking for a game to play with a podcast. And like, this is a podcast game, where like, I would probably, end up muting the voice work for the other characters or whatever, or skipping every cutscene, but still being able to hear zombies, but listening to something while I play.
Mike, what's been your experience so far?
Yeah, Greg did a great job of running through that. And, to keep up with the word of the day, this is a unremarkable game. But I did not expect Dead Island 2
It's gonna
to be
the 3 out of 10, the Dying Light.
And so I wasn't looking for this game to be a remarkable video game. I was looking for this to be a fun video game, and I actually had a really tough time finding the fun over the nights that I played this. I think Greg has touched on a lot of key points. I think going into Dead Island 2 and having it Hell A and kind of playing that up, I would have thought they would have brought more fun into the characters that you meet. The dialogue, the writing just seemed to fall flat. It just becomes very basic lines. No characters will stand out or be remarkable to you of like, oh man, do you remember that fun hippie dude up in the hills? Like, None of them will be that. And that's an unfortunate part right there, because I think that's where you do separate yourself from Dying Light 2, right? I think the movement is a big miss. Coming off the back of Dying Light 2, I am surprised that we didn't have a grapple hook. I am surprised we didn't have a wall run or some sort of crazy double jump, right? Like, it really kept to boots on the ground. There's a small light slide. You have a dodge that plays out pretty well if you get used to the dodge mechanic. But really, they missed the fun factor in this game. And for me, I expect to see reviews landing at the 6 out of 10 marker. I think we'll have some highs of 8s. We'll have some lows of about 4. But I think this is going to settle in on the 6 to 7
I'd be
range.
shocked to see some 8s. I'd be shocked to see 8s.
There will always be one nutcase that will give you an 8. I can guarantee you when we open this up on release day, there will be one nutcase with an 8 out of there. But I'm more on the 2 out of 5 on the KindaFunny scale. This is a very densely populated, well done, detailed open world, semi-open world. Of course,
open
it's
zone,
now
right?
broken into a bunch of different zones that you will instantly recognize. And I was impressed. I talked about it during our preview on KindaFunny Games Daily of like, I'm impressed with the detail. The world looks good, right? It is next gen when it comes to the graphical fidelity, what the zombies look like, how you can rip and tear and just break apart the zombies is truly impressive, right? Like if you get a sledgehammer to the top of the zombies, you can rip that wig right off. And it is awesome to see the insides of the skull and all the bones and flesh. Like I am really impressed with what they did on the zombie side of things. When it comes to just the fun, that's where it's really going to get lost on is if you're turning it into a podcast game, that's too bad, right? Because I'm looking for the fun dialogue. I am looking for that. But yeah, 80% of the game, you could take your headphones off. You wouldn't miss anything, I promise you. You know what I mean? That's kind of disappointing on the other side of like, when we talk about video games, I didn't know we want to just listen to metal music over the video game, right? That's certain kinds. But yeah, the fun factor's missed there. The card system is interesting, right? As Greg said, it is fun to build and change up your loadout. It is just us moving away from a skill tree and saying, how can we still put those skills and attribute points into something different? Oh, what if we just gave you cards instead? I think it's a beautification of the skill tree as we move into that next generation of video games and what everybody wants to play. Each one of the Slayers all have its interesting attributes. I will tell you, I picked Bruno, which looks like Little Pump, right? Like all tatted up. He's got the little pink dreadlocks. You think that he's going to be interested in fun. And the unfortunate part is his dialogue lines right from the moment go sound like generic Soldier 42, right? He has no charisma, nothing that stands out. And it is disappointing, right? Because I thought we'd get some flashy, wild characters. I bring up again the fun, but like I thought at least our Slayers would have some fun dialogue lines. Unfortunately, nothing really pops out at me or stands out and is memorable. On top of that, I would be very encouraging, and I would tell each and every one of you that's about to jump into this game, be mindful of who you pick. I picked Bruno. He is the least amount of health possible, and I will tell you that is going to become a factor because it is a melee-centric game. You're going to be in the weeds with these zombies, and I found a lot of frustration coming from not having enough health, dying quickly, and having to replay parts over and over again, which was very surprising to me, right? I thought we'd have a little more love there, but he is very much dodge and weave, and the moment that you don't read one right, you're going to go down in about 3 hits with Bruno. So I really encourage you to take a look at your play style, be mindful of that, and look at the characters in front of you. Don't pick off of just looks alone like I did with Bruno, which is unfortunate.
And that's one of those spaces where I think the card system works against it based on the traditional skill tree.
Yeah.
Where I wish it could be that you could, okay, I'm going to invest in my health points.
Exactly.
I'm gonna go do this. I thought it was crazy that my inventory never expanded. You know what I mean?
You just had the wheel is right.
You're stuck. You have a wheel, and then you have the back end, and I forget. I want to say it's like 8 and 8, but don't quote me on that. But there's the section you have on like the hotkeys, and then the section you have like in your backpack.
Yeah.
And I thought for sure I was going to expand out so I could carry more stuff. Never did. And of course, this is a big game of scavenging and looting. Like you are going through and looting every suitcase, looting every room. If you're playing like I do, and you want to be meticulous that way to find the secret messages, but also get better weapons to then either break down for the components to then upgrade, or to take back and sell to people to get the money to buy the things you need to go off of traders that are out there.
Definitely. And to wrap it up, I mean, of course, crafting is going to be at the high end of this game, right? Like Dead Island, Dying Light, Dead Rising, it's all about crafting, right? It is putting the player first of, hey, you need to go into these menus, you need to craft, right? You need to make it your own. And that's the fun part about this game is like there's a lot of awesome environmental cues where you can stand by a kiddie pool and just electrocute all the zombies. You can blow up fire barrels and have some fun with that. But that comes on the player to make it your own playground. So you're going to have to really get in the weeds with crafting to make that a good time. You know, all in all, I think it is a well-done world. I think Hell A is much better than Dying Light on the contrast of where you're at, what the story is, the beautification of it all. I love how detailed it is. It is much shorter, only 24 levels. Very interesting on that one, 24 main missions. It has a lot of side missions to do. It has a lot of collectibles to go get lost in. So I am impressed with that, but I am blown away that it's such a short game, right? This is going to be about 3 nights if you're really tearing through this game. And so I don't know where I fall on that one. I think they want you to replay it with others in co-op. I think they want you to check out the other Slayers, is right. But when you first kick it on, you play that first night, you're going to go out to the menu and it's going to say, oh, you did 11 out of 24 missions. I think a lot of players are going to go, man, that's a short game right there, which is interesting to me.
Sure. Yeah. I appreciate that the homepage drops that information on you, right? 24 story quests, 33 side quests, 15 lost and found quests, and then 84 challenges. The challenges I will only pay attention to for trophies. But then, yeah, the rest being there. Side quests, I still have a ton left to do, though. But again, what do you want? Bang for your buck, what do you want to do?
And also, nothing stands out on the side quest.
But that's my thing about it, right? Which I think is interesting because we're both on the same page in a lot of ways. I feel like for me, the fun factor did come from, oh, I really love this katana. Oh, it's electrified. That's great. Stick with it, earn the materials, get the money so that I can increase it with my level, eventually get something better that's more, a legendary or a superior or whatever it is. Cycle those things in, break it all down and make my weapons different. Because for me, the fun of it is getting from point A to point B. How am I going to kill the zombies? And one of the things you bring up, right, is using the sandbox nature of it, right? This game, I would say, when Dam Buster took over for this, because of course, remember, Dead Island 2 has had a hellish development cycle, correct? Right? Jaeger Development was originally hired to develop Dead Island. Nice. Dead Island 2 in 2012, but was removed from the project in 2015, replaced by Sumo Digital the following year. Sumo Digital was also removed with Dam Buster, an internal studio of Deep Silver, becoming the developers in 2019. I think not to its detriment, because again, I'm a guy who professionally reviewed 2 of these games, or 3 of them now, but 2 before, right? And when I went and watched my video reviews, that's when I was like, oh right, that zombies from Dead Island 2 was in that game. Oh they're the butcher, the giant crusher, like the exploder, slopper, spitter, whatever they call them. Like, oh right, these are guys from the other game that are back in this game. I think Dan Buster really looked at this and was like, we want to make a modern Dead Island, for better or worse. Obviously a little bit better, but I don't know. And it is technically. We want to do all these different things, but what is our stamp on it? And like, both Dead Island and of course Dying Light, and like you said, even Dead Rising, right? Modding your weapons isn't new. That was back in the day a big thing I remember for Dead Island 1 when I was playing that one. I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm making an electrified knife. Neat. Obviously, it's all old now. What they really did to step up and say, this is what's going to separate ours is these environmental hazards.
Yeah.
So every place you go has water, like, the jerry cans of water or gas around, the big red tanks, the gas spills, water with, the electrical cable hanging in dilapidated buildings. And this is all meant for you to, rather than get into a scrum, get surrounded by 20 zombies. It's meant to be that, you light the fire, step back, bait them to you, let the fire do a lot of the work till you're down to like the apex variants, they call it, and stuff like that.
It's interesting. Talking about the environmental hazards, right? It's cool at first. It becomes very repetitive after a while. I'm sure all the gamers in the comments will be like, oh man, it's the same red barrel. It's the same kiddie pool with the electric. I do wish that they took that to another level, right?
Sure.
Like we saw in Dying Light 2, which was very interesting, of like environmental hazards became traps. And we just played, of course, Callisto Protocol, where you were grabbing the zombie monsters, throwing them into just wall traps. I wish there was some elevation of, hey, let's put some traps around here. Let's have some fun with that, because it is, hey, there's 20 red barrels. Hey, there's just a downed electrical wire, throw some water on it. Like, it doesn't really get past that point. And I think we could have played a little bit more in the sandbox, like you said, of like, what else can we put here? Because it comes down to environmental hazards. Puzzle solving is also the same generic puzzle all the time.
We should save that all to itself.
We're going to talk a lot about like some of the pitfalls here, but I think you had a lot of room to play in this genre that is the open world hack and slash zombie slaying game. And they took a lot of like, let's just stick with Dead Island. Let's be that, which is fine, but also at the same time, it's 2023.
That's why.
Push that.
That's why again, like I think if you are interested in this game, yeah, it's a fun time for me. If you're a Dead Island fan, but it is that same thing where it's just like you could pass by and not play it and be fine. It's not that kind of thing. But like, yeah, to your point, you're 100% correct. Of like, it is that thing of like you walk in and there is the giant pool of water, the giant thing of gasoline. You're like, okay, like like. Maybe I use it, maybe I don't. As my weapons got better, I didn't. It became fun. There's, you talk about dying a lot, and I'm not making a joke here, wasn't my case for the most part. It would be the, the giant inflex points, like you're talking about, inflection points, where it was like, here's a main mission. When I would die in just a casual fashion, I was kind of impressed of it, even though I'm playing it single player, it would load me in as if it was a co-op game where I came back and the people I killed were still dead. It was now down to the people I was fighting already. If I'd open a door, I'm like, okay, cool. That doesn't work for boss battles, for big story beat moments. You have to sit through the cutscene and go in it again, which I didn't find annoying. I honestly felt like that level of strategy of like, fuck, I almost had it, but that last second they spawned an exploder from there. So this time I'm going to do, like, I liked that. And that was when I was using the environmental hazards and feeling really cool about it. Whereas the other times were like, all right, cool, fire, run backwards, they're running into it, done with them, run around. Like, it wasn't like an awesome thing. Go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, it was so interesting, the checkpoints, because I noticed that too, of like, what is going on with these checkpoints? Because when you're in the open world, yeah, those zombies are already dead. Like, you've made progress, and that felt good and rewarding. When you'd get like those deaths that you're like, that's BS, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're in the normal story, it's like, oh no, you're back to a real checkpoint here. Redo it all again. And it was like, man, as a single player, especially on Bruno's side with no health, it felt frustrating, because on the opposite side, when you did get that checkpoint and a number of zombies were taken down, it's like, oh, that's nice. That's rewarding. I feel like I'm chipping away. I'm dead. I can come back and have a better try. Like, it is a little demoralizing restarting everything when it's like, oh, that's a better checkpoint system right there.
I think, again, I think part of it is probably a bit of philosophy in terms of what they want. And I'm projecting here. I don't know. My thought would be, since it's a multiplayer game, they want you to be able to drop in, encourage you to open your game and let people in for those points. Again, you get through them, or maybe you're frustrated and quit the game and don't come back. I enjoyed doing it personally. And there was one, last 2 nights ago, I guess, which was the final boss, where I was like, it was a series of fuck, but it was always a fuck, I'm going to get it. Fuck, oh, didn't get it this time. Fuck, okay, well, oh, I got it in like that moment. Like, I loved that.
From Mike, who said he was struggling with some of the difficulty, What are the accessibility and difficulty options, if at all?
I didn't notice any difficulty options. I thought I looked to go into easy mode. I did not see any. I could be wrong, but like I thought I kicked that on and was like, where's the easy mode when I was playing as Bruno a number of times and never saw one.
Yeah, I never even looked for it, so I couldn't tell you, be truthful on that one. Yeah, I know that like one of my things was the idea of you're leveling as you play the game, right? Early on, very early on in the hills of Hollywood or whatever, I went off to the side and was greeted with some zombies that had a big skull on them. Like, oh shit, okay. Sure enough, they killed me in one hit, right? And they were just normal ass zombies. It was like, okay, well, this is gated to some degree. I shouldn't go that way. Blah blah blah. When I got later in the game and we were into like, okay, it's pretty much the final run of like, again, you're counting down on the main screen. I think it was when I had 2 or 3 missions left. I popped in to take on the main mission and they were 2 levels above me, which was like, oh shit, I'm getting hit here and it's actually hurting. I need to be a bit more, I die a few times against normal ass zombies. And I was like, cool. Clearly when I kill them, I'm going to get more XP than normal. No, you kill them. You got the same amount as XP as if I was fighting the normal thing. I was like, oh, that's lame. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm going to be challenged, I think I should get the reward there.
Yeah, that's an interesting system of like this leveling system, but also the enemies are leveling up with you. So you're going into spots where it's like they're a little bit higher than you. I found that to be really interesting of like, could we have done this differently where they're just zombies? Did I need the health bar there? Do we need to really have them level up with me, right? I think some of the frustrations I had was like coming around the corner, you're like, why has this guy got a skull on his head? Like, do we really need that?
Yeah.
Like, let's just have fun. Let me take on the big thwacking zombie, the big muscle head, and let's just have a good time, right? Like, why does he need to have 5 levels ahead of me? It's very interesting on like that. I'd like to know the in or outs of that of like, why can't they just all be regular zombies here?
Sure. While we're starting to teeter over here, I think things that are cons, for me, the biggest con, again, I think for Dam Buster to come in here, I would have loved to have seen what Jaeger was doing and what Sumo was doing, right? Because this is so safe. This is so just Dead Island that you have to imagine that the other 2 Dead Island 2s that never saw the light of day maybe were off track or behind, but must have hopefully been something radically different. And this one, they were like, Dam Buster, just fucking make Dead Island again. And they made Dead Island again. And like we keep saying, that's fine for if you like Dead Island or whatever, but like, how does it work in 2023? It is, I would almost say, unforgivable that they don't have crossplay for this.
Oh,
like
yeah,
with the first thing when you log in, you
Greg,
turn it on and it says connecting to Epic servers or whatever online, and it's like, well, why am I not logging with my Epic Game account to play with everybody? Instead, you are siloed. You play with PlayStation people, you play with Xbox people, you play with PC people. You're not able to get in there and use your Epic name and go crossplay, which is stupid for a game that is all about, hey, get in there with your friends and go play multiplayer and go kill some stuff.
Yeah, especially a game that's going to have probably a smaller audience, right? Of like, I'm going to struggle to convince my friends after this review to buy this at full price, right? And then on top of that, it's like, yeah, crossplay is a must in 2023, especially for a game like this. There's really no reason that you're not pushing for that and really working hard to achieve that goal. Because, yeah, everybody should be playing with each other here, no matter what system they want. You know, a copy sold is a copy sold in my book. So let's make that happen, is right.
Now, I want to talk more about Dead Island 2, but before we do, I want to tell the world about patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Over on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, you can get the show ad-free. And speaking of ads, let us tell you about our sponsors.
Shout out to Rocket Money for sponsoring this episode. We all love gobbling up content, and we have an understanding of what subscriptions we use. Or do we? Do you know how much your subscriptions really cost? Most Americans think they spend around $80 a month on subscriptions when the actual total is closer to $200. That's right. You out there. You could be wasting hundreds of dollars each month on subscriptions you don't even know about. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending and it helps you lower your bills, all in one place. Rocket Money has saved some of us here at Kinda Funny a ton of money, and it can help you too. Stop throwing away your money. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/kindafunny. That's rocketmoney.com/kindafunny. ROCKETMONEY.com/kindafunny.
Now, one question I have, right? We talk about Dead Island 2 being in development hell, right? Development hell, development limbo. Are there elements of the game that feel like they live in the past from that? You know, you talk about it seeing multiple studios. Are there things where it feels like, oh, you guys came up with this idea in 2013 or 2014? And on the flip side, are there things that Dead Island 2 brings to the table that feel brand new, that feel fresh?
I would my honest knee-jerk reaction without having thought about it ahead of time would be no and no.
Yeah.
I don't you made a comment about it at the top that one of the remember blanks this week on patreon.com/kindafunny is a game you can't believe came out. Like for everything Dead Island 2's gone through, the fact that it's out and about to be upon everybody is crazy. But it's also, when I booted it up, like, even though when Mike went to the preview event, and I was like, how was it? Like, I was expecting it to be, dude, it is dog shit. It doesn't work. It doesn't. And then he's like, oh, it's fine. It's not, blah, blah. And oh, shit, okay. And so when I booted it up, I'm like, clearly there will be something wrong. And I played through it and was like, oh, no. Again, it's such a weird one. And I think it's so reminiscent of my last two Dead Island reviews, right? Of like, there's nothing wrong. It just is. It is a video game. It is a flat 3. It is okay. And that you can take that however you want to and whatever you want to do with it. But in the same breath, yeah, I don't think there's anything this game does that I was like, wow, that is a cool, inventive, new idea. I think it is a conglomeration of everything from Dead Island before it, new systems or menus and UIs. I think the UI looks great for the most part. Or I guess the world looks great and the UI in your HUD and stuff looks great. The 2 different menus I'm never a fan of.
Come on.
Just give me one menu to get into.
Yeah,
and
make it cleaner.
Anyways, but then it's like, again, the only thing they do this time around is the environmental hazards, but they're so on the fucking nose. It's the same with their puzzles. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about why Dying Light 2 is a better game than Dead Island 2, right? It was, remember in our review for Dying Light 2, we had conversations of like how much I enjoyed just going into rooms and like, oh, fuck, what do I need to do? And that power conduit goes there, but I can't get there. But if I do, oh, wow, this is really fun. Dead Island 2 is, oh my God, you walk into this room and I got to turn all these valves to make the numbers match the numbers on the thing. And like Mike never even learned it. He just randomly spun wheels and got it all to happen.
It's fun.
And it's like, there's a few other of like, oh, this security office is locked, right? And you see the lockbox and then it goes up to these 2 power cords that split off and go. You come around and you smash the one box and you walk around and you throw your ninja star through the window and take out the other box. And you're like, all right. Walk into the security thing.
The other main one is, the gate doesn't have power. Oh, just go grab a box and put it back into the other box. It's very, very basic. You'll do that probably 20 times.
Circuit breakers are big. A lot of circuit breakers in this world. A lot
of circuit breakers that have no vision there.
I'd say I'm still kind of confused about the overall gameplay loop, because when I look at a game like Dying Light, and we did a sponsored stream for it where I kind of understood the rhythm and kind of what Dying Light was asking of the player, and there was a lot of stealth. There was a lot of finding the big watchtowers to then find your checkpoints. It seemed like there was a lot of kind of like, the world was very living, right? And that was kind of the problem that I had with Redfall when we played it.
This is a world that's living dead,
Oh,
Andy.
shit.
Whoa.
Is this more like Far Cry?
No, I still think it's more like Fallout. And
Yes.
you know what I mean? Where it's like, this is a RPG. This is you go to home base or whatever the new base is. You check in with everybody there. They give you your quest. You run out.
Okay.
You do the quest, and you loot along the way and fight other stuff. And you can find a side quest if you
Are you
want to.
upgrading your home base?
Nope, because it's like you're in multiple bases. Since it's no longer, since it's not open world, it's open zone. You'll eventually, late in the game, unlock fast travel between all of them. So it's like, you have your map and you can go to the fish shop in Venice. I might be getting that which wrong where it is, but like it doesn't matter. You go to your mansion in the Hollywood Hills or whatever and like bounce between those. But you're not like doing anything there to make them better. It's strictly like it's more like you're walking into Megaton, getting the mission from whoever, leaving, and then you have different spots like that to go to. And so, there's a main storyline that's pushing along your character or whatever, moving along. But again, it's not only is it forgettable, it's like the same. I feel like the same zombie story I've seen. And granted, I love zombies and I, read and watch as much as I can about zombies, but like it's the same. It is horror / zombie schlock. Like it's just like, like pretty predictable, I think, across the board when you introduce things, what's going to happen. Then they even do the thing at the end where they make it way more complicated than they need to make it. It's just like, come on. You're a survivor and it's a zombie world. What are we doing here or whatever? But
Yeah, interesting how, they kept it so true to form from the original. It's interesting when I think of Dead Island Riptide, my mind goes to the horde mode moments that they had in those missions where you would fortify around you a little mini base and fight off hordes of zombies. And that was a big one in Riptide that I remember. Sure, it was multiplayer, right? And this one's multiplayer as well, but didn't notice any missions that were like, hey, hold this point and, craft the barbed wire fence there.
Oh, yeah.
Put a little mini trap there. Like, they didn't have a single one of those. And I thought, if we're going to stay true to form and we're going to really just feel like it's 2011 all over again, why not have pieces from each one, right? And I think Riptide, that was the big one from Riptide. Surprising they didn't even have one feeling of that, which is weird to me.
Yeah, again, like back to Blessing's initial question, Bless, you touched it for 30 minutes. And I do think it doesn't change. That's the entire way. Isn't 100% correct. Like I said, you get more powerful. When I unlocked dash strike, that was cool. I really enjoyed that. I'm strike dashing, and when I did that, it finally started clicking of the dodging. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I should be lighter on my feet and move this way and do that, which opened it up for me. And you get running drop kicks, and you're expanding. Eventually, they introduced the thing, of course, as the whole thing with Dead Island is that you can't be infected. You're special. That's always been the story for every one of these games. It's the same thing here, and eventually, that evolves this time around into you having the whole Fury ability where you can go black and white, like rage mode, and kill everything. And then eventually you can start using perks that would actually turn you more towards a zombie and like fills in a different bar, and you start having pros and cons of like, you do this and you'll do more damage, but you'll be less of this, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, that's an interesting idea or whatever. It's been done before. I also never felt, by that point I was so fucking powerful. I was like, why would I sacrifice any of this to go do that? Like,
do all of these different, what are these heroes called? These legends?
Slayers.
Do these Slayers have like an ultimate ability?
Well, the ultimate ability is become a zombie, and then you just swipe your hands at them. And so, of course, the card...
They all have that.
Yeah, everybody's going to become that.
Again, it's, you plug in your Slayer to the narrative. So everybody's having the same story, the same stuff.
And so, of course, the cards will affect, what does your ultimate ability have, like Greg said, right? Are you regenning health? Are you pushing zombies away after each hit? Like, each card will dictate what kind of small little twists and turns you'll have on that ability, but it will stay true to form. Everybody will get the two-hand slay it out for 15, 20 seconds.
Do the personalities come out in the story? Because when you're going through and choosing between the different Slayers, they have an intro where you kind of get like a little piece of each of them, right, where they introduce the characters, and they seem like they're dynamically different characters, at least in personality and how they present. Does that reflect in the story itself?
So I got to play 2 because I played the preview. Amy was the Irish rock star. Not Amy.
I was gonna say no.
I don't know what Amy's name is. So my girl was an Irish rock star. She was a band gal.
Amy Gills.
And she had a little bit more energy, a little more fun line delivery when it came to it. But like that was going to certainly wear off after 6+ hours into it. Bruno, like I said, you thought off of just looks alone he was going to have some fun charisma. No, he fell off. I think they're all pretty basic lines. I don't think. I think in the 24 missions and probably the 10 hours to 15 hours you're going to play this, I don't think any one of them will come away besides just looking at their hands looking different for each person. Unless Greg, you think so.
No, I mean that was my thing. I'm trying to see if I
bet your name is Danny. If I had to guess.
That would make sense. Yeah, I was Amy, and. No, I liked her delivery. I liked the performance fine, but it's not like we're in her head at any point. I think the most you get is like in the very beginning, she had some line about like, oh man, I'm supposed to be in Atlanta or whatever for the Paralympics soon or whatever. And I was like, oh, that's cool because she has a prosthetic lip.
Prosthetic.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, that's cool or whatever. And that kind of explains why she's so athletic or whatever. And there's a few times where she's like, oh, come on, Ames, that was stupid. And I was like, oh, that's cute. But it's like, you don't get to know her. But I thought her performance was fine in whatever, but. Yeah, no, I was good.
Opening cinematic is something. Greg, I'll tell you what. You watched that original announcement trailer like you brought up, Blessing, with the fun. The opening cinematic is like, whoa, what is happening in this vision right now? Because it is bad. It is real bad. That's not a good opening cinematic.
Why? When they were running through the plane, all the hell's breaking loose?
Oh man, I was like, man, I think we could have done a little bit better on this one. But I think that's the only time you get to see the 6 Slayers with their, interesting personalities shine. Right, every single one is rolling up to plane in a different way, and you're going, oh wow, and then you get to pick who you want to be off of just like the 15 seconds they get each. You know what I mean, of screen time.
Another thing I want to talk about is weapons. So, like, I could have sworn, and we talked about it a little bit, right? Like, in the original Dead Island, weapons were a big thing, especially the melee weapons. And I went through to IGN to check out, like, okay, what is the list of melee weapons? And they have a long list, right? You're talking about, like, axes, a bat, a baton, broomstick, frying pan, a hand bow.
You got Wolverine claws, right?
Stand. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, this looks dope as hell. But yeah, like, what is the weapon selection like in this game? Does it feel like they're elevating things at all? Or does it feel like, okay, cool, it's more Dead Island, they're just adding in the same melee weapons?
For me, Super Dead Island. I don't think anything was new to me where it's like, oh my God, this is fresh, right? Like maybe there's some iterations I didn't remember from
Circuit breaker,
2011,
there you
right?
go.
Like they're
Get
just
that
circuit
door
breaker.
closed. Use the circuit breaker.
You'll do that a lot. But like I had a cool pitchfork that I put on fire, right? And
Yeah.
like you poke them until
There it
like
is.
their little fire gauge goes up. But then, yeah, you have some special moments where either you charge up the weapon all the way or you get like the special kill moment.
Yeah.
And you'll see something cool where the
Finishers.
axe will go into the forehead or the pitchfork will go up through the bottom of their mouth, through their eyeballs. Like there's some cool moments like that. But weapon-wise, this is the ultimate generic melee weapons. I don't think there's anything that stands out wise.
I want to say there's something that stands out. I do appreciate that you find your fit. Where it's like, I used the pitchfork and I didn't like it. And I used a couple, there's like a bow staff. And I was like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that are like longer weapons or the more like heavy duty, hard swing weapons, right? And I stayed away from those after I tried them and stuck mainly to katanas, baseball bats, butcher knives, or hatchets. And I was like really happy with that. And then it gets into, of course, you know, we talked about it, but modding your weapons, going to there, you know, you unlock blueprints as you play and level up, but you find them in the thing, you can buy them as well. So it's, you know, I have the electricity katana and the fire katana, and then I got a bleed damage baseball bat, and then I got this one baseball bat that's, you know, up the limb or the ability to hack off limbs or whatever. It's like,
You can't put a mushroom on a shield.
can't put a mushroom on
Not
a
like
shield.
Tears of the
Step it up.
No, no. But you do get to build, if you want, an arsenal that is yours. And again, like it's similar with the guns, where guns aren't a huge part of the game, but you find them as you go. And like, you know, even though I had an Uzi and a marksman rifle, I stuck to just the assault rifle and then my shotgun, which eventually I got an electric shotgun. You know what I mean? Like there's stuff like that that is there and shakes it up, but anything revolutionary? No. Again, this is a flat 3 out of 5. Nothing's revolutionary about this game. It's just, I found the fun in it. Mike didn't.
So I got a 2-part question, which is a bit loaded, but you know, follow me. Is there, or does it feel like there's space for Dead Island 3 after this game? And also, what would you want out of a Dead Island 3 if they were going to go that direction?
I mean, yes, I think there is space for Dead Island 3. I think there's ways to improve upon that. I think movement is key, right? You do have to find a way to marry what Dying Light does with grappling hooks, parkour, mirror's edge running. If you added that onto this with the world that they have, you have a really good mix of some big-time winners. But then also it comes back to the fun, right? You have some nice touches in the sandbox that Greg talked about, right? Of like finding your own fun, creating the fun. There's a sandbox there, but what it comes down to is like, can you add more fun? The characters need to stand out, right? You got to have solid dialogue. You got to have more fun when it comes to side missions, bosses, right? Like, why have we not gone back to Dead Rising with the psychopaths, right? Like, why are people so afraid to go there and have these awesome moments where you go, oh my God, it's crazy Bobo the clown in the kids' pen, or oh my God, it's Siegfried and Roy with the tigers. Like, why don't we have that? So yeah, I do think that Dead Island 3 could be a thing, but there's improvements that must be made in this to make this viable, right? Because everybody loves a good open world collectathon, right? Like, we're never going to get away from that in the video game genre, right? And as much as we say zombie fatigue, it is always fun to hack and slash some zombies. And this one has a lot more fun on the hacking slashing side than Dying Light, especially with the ripping and tearing of the flesh. Like, that looks good, but you got to find a way to elevate the movement for sure.
I want to double back to what you were saying there about where are the psychopaths. There's one part in this game, obviously there's no spoilers because there's really not much to spoil in terms of anything going on, but it's a character square off where it's like, you're on the Santa Monica Pier, right? And you're going down, and they make a reference early on, like, yeah, it might sound crazy, but I heard there was a clown over there. And like, as you're going, you hear the like laugh and noise, and like my character is just like, come on, fight me. What are you doing? And it's like, okay, this is interesting. You get to the end, and it's I think it's the introduction of the butcher zombie variant type, but it's just a butcher that has clown makeup on. And we've seen the butcher in 2 other games. And it's just like, you fight it, you beat it. I was like, oh, I thought we were building to like an actual like variance rather than it just being like, oh, it's in clown makeup. Okay. Like that's what it's missing. Like, so is there room for like, it's the weirdest thing because it's a 3 out of 10. You can go listen to the old IG. Fuck, goddamn. It's a 3. We're just going to start saying that. All right. It's a 3. You can listen to the other IGN reviews from more than a decade ago of me being like, hey man, it is what it is, but it's a fun time. Like, I'm sure you'll get a Dead Island 3 at some point, but like, we don't need it. Like, what we need is them to blow it up, right? Like, I'm on the website when I was looking for the character names, and it's like, the much-loved zombie saga is back. They need to blow it up. Blow up that idea. Like, not that like, people do love Dead Island for what it is. Like, you know, I love Dead Island for what it is. I think it's an okay game, and that applies to the other ones that I enjoyed before. But it's like,
Back to formula.
why is this a zombie saga? You know what I mean? Like, let's get over trying to tie this into a narrative that this isn't Resident Evil. Like, no one's like really dug into the Umbrella Corporation side of this and what's going. It's like, and like the way they end it, like, don't do that. No, don't. I don't want you to do that. Like, let's not, like, that's fine just to be a zombie game. And I think that's what it's missing. You know, even the description here is interesting to read the website, which of course is all marketing stuff. But Dead Island 2 is a unique formula of horror, dark humor, and over-the-top zombie slaying, spanning an epic pulp adventure. This thrilling first-person action RPG takes players across a brand new playground, a hellish version of LA, or Helle, as we'd like to call it. Dead Island 2 is stylish, vibrant, and flooded with zombie infection. Explore iconic, gore-drenched Los Angeles, meet larger-than-life characters, slay countless foes in exquisitely bloody detail, and evolve to become the ultimate zombie slayer. It's like, I wish that game existed. I wish that's what this game is. This game doesn't deliver on the larger-than-life characters. This game doesn't deliver on the dark humor. This game, again, I think is fun to play. I enjoyed my time with it. Like, I think other people will too. I'm excited. Like, I want to do eventually a stream where I play with the Kind of Funny best friends, like Phone of Greg, and I come in and I kill zombies with you on PlayStation since it's not crossplay. But it's like, it doesn't live up to what it could be. And I don't know if Dead Island 3 is the answer to that. I'm sure for, Deep Silver, the franchise, the IP is too big to let languish and let go away or whatever. But I think it is time to really shake up the formula. But I would imagine 2 developers before them did that, and they didn't like that.
Any final words on Dead Island 2?
Man, just not a good game, not the best of games. I look forward to seeing the reception for this. I am higher on this game than Saints Row, right? When we talk about beloved franchises that are surprisingly coming back and trying to make a splash in 2023, right? Like, I'm at least walking away from Dead Island going, hey, you did a better job than Saints Row. And sure, that bar is low, but like, you try to revive a franchise from 10 years ago. That's a tough one in 2023, especially when we look at the gaming landscape full of just like bangers right now, especially with a big lineup of Star Wars, Redfall, and Tears of the Kingdom right around the corner, right? Like, for you to come out and say, hey, we're here, it's like, okay, well, you know what? You tried, and I don't expect myself going back to this.
Question for you, Mike, before I final words and sign off or whatever. You talked earlier about when we were talking about like podcast game or whatever, and you're like, oh man, that kind of sucks or whatever. Do you think if you could have played this with the boys, you could have played with Washi, you could have played with Andy, you could have played with Nick, you were all running through and just bashing the shit out of zombies, fucking around, horsing around on Discord, would that have been a better experience for you?
Would have been a little bit better. I don't think this would have been like hey, like we all got to buy this right now at full price type situation, but it definitely would have been like, oh, that would have been more fun. I think it might have like broken the game, right? Because 4 people surrounding one zombie nonstop is going to make it way too easy, right? But I think the idea of co-op, I'll give it to them. It's something that Dead Island is known for, especially with Riptide doing that. Like, that is what this game is about. I think you'll have more fun, similar to what we'll see in Redfall, right? Of like, co-op is going to elevate these kind of mid-level games to a little bit higher when you share the world with friends.
Do you, from what you've played, is Redfall better than this? Because I'm excited for Redfall as well, even though I haven't played it. But I like the idea of running around and killing vampires in the same way I like.
From what I played of Redfall compared to this, yes, Redfall will be better than this. I don't think by leaps and bounds, but yes, Redfall with what Arcane is doing when the gameplay systems itself and giving the player the sandbox and tools, I think will be better. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, my final thoughts on Dead Island 2 is it's okay. It is a 3 out of 5. It is okay.
$70 game.
Yeah. Everyone to their computers immediately. Click the pre-order button here and then I want physical. I want pulpit. No, I just want day 1 edition. The base. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm seeing $60 on Epic.
60?
At least on PC.
PS5. Jesus Christ.
It's taking so many.
$70 on PlayStation 5.
Ah. That's tough.
Xbox Series X also.
That's tough. Yeah.
That's. Anyways, it is an okay game. I enjoyed playing it. until one of the big hitters comes along. I'm going to keep playing it and working on that platinum and trying to do it. Will I ever get to it? We'll see how the year always gets away from me. But I enjoy playing it because I enjoy these kind of games. I've always enjoyed the Fallout, the Far Cry, the Horizon, sneak into the area, kill everybody, go through everyone's pockets, get all the things, go back to your base, make yourself stronger, go back out and do it again. But that's all this game is. I think elevated is a great word, right? It never elevates past that. That's what I mean by it's a flat 3. It's a flat okay. It's an okay video game. I think you can have that level of fun for your first 30 minutes and be like, oh, okay, no. Or you can keep going and it will incrementally get better with, add-ons and mods and things like that. But it's never going to cross this threshold where you're like, fuck, yes, this is great, blah, blah. But the completionist in me always wants to go back and do those things and check every box and get everything and see every quest.
Will you sing the song for me one time?
Who do you voodoo, bitch? I got a zombie army, and you can't harm me. Who do you voodoo, bitch? Everybody look up Sam B's work from Dead Island 1.
Sorely lacking.
Fucking
Sam
Andy
B
didn't
on
even
the
know
track.
it. Andy didn't even
Unbelievable.
know it.
Sorely lacking that song nonstop playing in the background of this video game.
God. Well, before we wrap up, Andy Cortez, you have a couple games we want to talk about.
Just real quick, yeah. I've been playing Mage Seeker.
Oh, how is it?
I got more and more into it, Greg. I can confirm that it's a game that I would recommend. I don't think it's like necessarily blowing me away yet, but Mage Seeker is a top-down action RPG, very pixel style by the developers who made Moonlighter.
One of my favorite games of recent memory.
The cool thing about it is Riot Games is kind of remind me of what Marvel does, where they just kind of go out to a bunch of developers and say, hey, make games with our IP. And so rather than this being kind of developed in-house, we've seen them go out and have like a side-scroller game made and like a turn-based game made. This is a top-down action RPG, similar to if you've seen, and I think when Greg saw this, he was like, oh, Andy loves Hyper Light Drifter. He would love this. You play the role of a League of Legends character named Silas. This is all based in the Runeterra universe or whatever, the League of Legends
You don't even
universe.
know anything about League of Legends. I did the GDC demo and
Correct.
I started the game. Like, it's not meant to be like, oh, you have to know League.
Yeah, pretty cool systems and mechanics. You are essentially somebody who can steal spells from people, and it's all very elemental based. So if there's like 2 fire mages in the arena that you're fighting and 2 ice mages, you steal the ice power from that dude, throw it at the fire guy, and he's going to take a lot more damage. You could just hack away at people if you'd like, but there's a kind of really cool strategy that goes into it. So I'm enjoying it so far. I'm enjoying the characters and the dialogue. The music's great. It's something I want to keep on playing for sure. And then I recently beat Fallen Order for the first time since it came out. Jedi Fallen Order. Not a game of the year,
Fuck you.
but a really good game.
Yay!
Top 10.
Yeah, that's a 4 out of 5 on the Kind of Funny list for me. It's still like super. It's still buggy in a lot of spaces, which is
Really?
kind of like surprising me to be this
years later.
to be this late into it. There's a lot of like just enemies that I was talking to my Twitch chat and I was like, it feels like these enemies are playing on a European server. So like I'm getting like a weird kind of like lag between this fight, and I don't know why they're acting this way. It felt like I was fighting the game a lot as opposed to like fighting enemies in some cases, but I still had a very good time with it. All the characters are still great. It looks absolutely insane on PC. And again, I need Greg and his PC character to kind of pop out more because we need to shame these developers more into and pressure them into making better PC ports because this PC port was still dropping a fuckload of frames. I have a Core i9 processor with a 4090, and those areas where I'm like, why am I getting 20 frames per second right here? Please, Greg, I need you to just shame them
Give me the one.
more and more.
Hey, PC players, it's me, Greg Miller,
Oh,
the man
developer.
who's meant to lead you.
Port people.
Next to a fucking sap like you. This guy's trying to play a game from years ago with a 4080 cord attachment or some shit, and it still doesn't work. Why would he do this? How much money did you spend on that? It didn't even work. You could play it on any of the nice consoles on your big TV, but instead you sit in your smelly fart chair just fucking trying to get it to work, and it doesn't work. Why do that?
I want you to.
Why?
I'm trying to get them to pressure the developers.
I'm sorry,
and the
I'll pressure the
porters.
developers. Developers, stop making PC games. They don't work. They don't work and nobody likes them. Focus on the console stuff. Leave the PC people to go to their little chat rooms and get caught by Chris Hansen.
Damn.
God damn. Fuck. I didn't think we were bringing Chris into this.
Here's the Wookiees.
Why does the Wookiee look so bad?
They
I
don't,
forgot how bad these guys
notoriously
look.
awful.
they don't look great in this world. But like this game still, there are so many moments in this game though that I'm like, God, if this game came out today, I'd be like, wow, this is a gorgeous video game.
We're mere days away from the next one.
Obviously, you've seen footage from the new one, and then you can immediately kind of tell the difference. But I had the same sort of feeling when I replayed through God of War 2018, where it aged really well in a lot of ways. I would say, like, I'm still super stoked for the sequel because I know we always talk about lessons learned on this podcast.
Yep.
And I think Respawn has a lot of lessons that they would have learned from just how do we amp up the old gameplay. Holy fuck, like not being able to fast travel to these bonfires is absolutely egregious. Like having to go all the way back and fucking Metroidvania your ass to there. Like the fact that there was never fast travel like broke my brain. I couldn't believe that it wasn't an addition later on or whatever. When you end up meeting one of the NPCs that like can teleport and stuff, a lot of people in chat were like, it would have been really cool if you could unlock fast travel here when you meet her as a part of the mechanic and kind of have it play with the world. But unfortunately, no. There was a lot of moments where I was like,
that's Night Sister magic, Andy. She can't teach a Jedi that.
I mean, you just
can,
know
like,
metachlorian
more
magic.
reasons
And
why
they spell
the
magic
she-
with a CK at the end, too.
ah, it's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's
magic.
actually another good one for Dead Island 2 as well, actually, where you eventually unlocked fast travel via maps and like the safe places. But I was at like, then that's stuff where I killed the thing at the pier and I'm like, all right, quest done. I'll run back to that
Gotta
place.
run back. Oh, yeah,
Run
bro.
back there, click on the map. I'm like, maybe after I beat the game, you give me a pocket
on,
map that
don't
I
be
can
afraid.
point to. And
Yeah,
go
yeah.
to.
Yeah, I never want to see Dathomir ever again. That place is god awful, and
Sure.
and traversing through it is just such a pain in the ass. But still a very, very good game.
Game of the year.
Ladies and
Not
gentlemen,
game of the year.
how stoked are you for Star Wars Jedi Survivor? Let us know in the comments below. Remember, this has been Kinda Funny Gamescast, where each and every week we get together to talk about the hottest topics in video games, live on Patreon and later on youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames and on podcast services around the globe. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.